But that's
And
what
people sometimes think, and they
I feel like a lot of people don't understand. Like, all right, look, if I had $1 million, yes, it would solve a lot of my financial problems. Like financially, I would be kudos, whoop de doo, being everything good. But mentally, bro, there's still that aspect of feeling what you feel, what you go through. You may not always fully care about something, but it still can make you feel a certain type of way because of what kind of person you are. Not just, oh, I don't give a fuck, I'm cold hearted, just let it be. No, bro, like some shit really touch your heart that may be going on in the world. And just because you got money doesn't mean everything's okay. Like, you still may feel some type of, you know what I'm saying, some type of way, bro. And I feel like you gotta understand that even if you don't have money, bro, even when you do get money, bro, you still have to understand that you have to check in with yourself, bro. Check in with like your mind and your position in life. You know what I mean? Always check in with where you at in life, bro, and don't get too carried away with what you've been through or what you feel like you may be coming into because it can always be taken away, bro. It can always be taken away and it can always be worse, bro.
see what we have or what, our what we're, what we're doing, and it's like, oh, just be grateful, or just, what are you complaining about,
See what I'm
and
saying?
most people wouldn't be able to walk, a block in our shoes, with this
Literally,
stuff.
bro.
And I think it
Cause
was,
mentally, bro.
and then you have moments where you resent things and you're angry at, the feelings that you accumulate for not being clear or not understanding, why this. There's a lot of whys, and you're not going to get all the answers, but you want to, be able to get to a place where you're clear. So to answer your question, when did I decide? When did I when did I feel like that? Maybe 2 years ago, maybe a year
That's
ago.
crazy.
You
That's
look at where your
crazy.
family has come from, and
And
shit,
he's
look at your bloodline. You
32,
look
31.
at, your community. You're like, man,
See.
there's a cycle there from generation to generation that happens. When you get to yourself, and you're like, man, can I stop this? Can I change this? I could do this. Once you know better, you got to almost do better. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I refuse to ignore it. I refuse to see it an opportunity that I had to change things and act like it didn't exist. And I think that was the thing for me, that I was like, nah, I gotta, if that's my purpose, if that's my path, is to just see it and I can see the pieces, and if I can just continue to do this, or if I stay down the pathway on that, and I might be able to make a big difference in my nephew's life, or my future children's, my future grandchildren's life. I got to do that, because been so many people that didn't, that it wasn't the perfect storm for them to have that opportunity. It wasn't the right time in the world. Technology wasn't there. The resources, the right social conversations are being had for us to have these platforms and speak and be successful the way we are. You gotta do it. And I think that was a big part of it, understanding my own mortality, and understanding,
Real talk.
that, life isn't a forever
Morals.
thing. And I think that happens when you get older too. You know what I'm saying? Like, just turned 37. And it's like, wow, I vividly remember, 15. I vividly remember 21. Vividly remember 25, 30, and I used to look at 35, 37 like ancient, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh man, we're here. And it's like,
Real talk, bro.
you got to do what you got to do while you're here and make an impact. You
Man,
got to fulfill
you gotta
yourself,
do what you
whatever
gotta
that may
do,
be,
bro. You have to.
and I think so. Yeah. So that moment for me where it was like, okay, I can do this. I can. Maybe a couple years ago, I think it was like right as I was stepping into directing Creed 3,
Mm.
and the weight of that, and being the captain of the ship the first time, being captain of the ship in a, I've made movies before. I've done that. I know what that's like, but I've never ever been the director. The captain of the ship, and I think that responsibility, that pressure, that, you know, I'm not a dad, you know, but being able, everybody's looking to you for the answer, for the solve, for the leadership. And I think that really thrust
feel
me
that.
into a mindset of leadership that I never quite had the opportunity to do before.
I mean, there's so much in that.
Sorry, I said a lot.
It's a great.
Yeah.
I like it. I prefer it that way because I'm connecting all the dots as you're speaking, and there's there's so many things I want to unpack with that.
He's a
One of
great
the things that
interviewer,
really
bro.
resonated is this idea that you had to challenge yourself. You had to do something out of your comfort zone in order to even recognize that you could become, that you could be, and that you could develop. And often we're waiting to become before we take on the challenge, but it's the challenge that makes us become that person. And I think we resist even what you said earlier about the opportunities, this idea that if you have opportunity, and there's an Eastern spiritual teaching which talks about if you have opportunities and you don't take them, that's a disservice to humanity because they're opening up to you without your will sometimes, right? Like there's some of us, and we'll sabotage ourselves because we'll say, oh, well, I didn't ask for that. I didn't know that was for me. And so I love the idea of anyone who's listening or watching, what Mike's saying, I love the idea of leaning into that opportunity that is opening up for you. And even if you don't have the skills and you don't have the talent yet, or you don't have all of the tools and the abilities, it's going to force you to develop them.
Yes, sir.
And you talking about the coaching, I want to go back to that and ask you about that because you want to be better mentally, physically, spiritually. It's a big part of who you are. And even the projects you take on, which I want to dive into that, you said roles that challenge your spirit. Even that idea that you're looking at a role not as, oh, what's the next movie to get me the thing? It's like, oh, that's going to challenge my spirit. I wanted to ask, what has been your best habit or tool uniquely that you've developed for your body, your mind, and your spirit individually? What have been things that you've done with your coaches in different areas that you think has brought about new epiphanies, opportunities, and ideas? What have been
asking all these great
questions,
questions, bro?
Maybe people could lock into as well.
He really locking.
I think
like,
there's
he really hacking
this
into
woman,
them, bro.
Ramona Oliver, that's known me my entire life. You know, she's my spiritual advisor and coach, and you know, I think starting the day, you know, in meditation, you know, you're taking a moment to clear yourself and prepare yourself for the day. It's so important to step out of your home with intent and intention. A lot of times it's, what are you projecting on a situation to help it manifest instead of negatively thinking about things that can help block your blessings. That's a big thing, you know? So I think, and we all have moments of negativity. That's part of it. You know, it's yin and yang. You're never going to fully get rid of that. But to practice those things in the morning, I think was a big help for me.
Yeah, huge.
You know, you shoot movies and you're doing things, you're walking out, you know, there's you hear stories of people, but they just can't get a break sometimes. And for whatever reason, it could be from stepping off the curb, twisting the ankle, to, you know, the parking ticket, to the thing, to the, oh, I just can't get a break. And there's certain people that carry this cloud, you know, and I think some of that can be contributed to the thought process and the thinking and the energy that you're putting into these things. And it's sometimes easier said than done, but to stop and to reframe and to clear yourself and to, you know, no, I'm walking in this light today, and see how much of a difference that can make. And more on the structural side, this guy Drew Kugler, who no relation to Ryan Coogler, who was an executive coach, and you know, as my ambitions grew from a production company to brand marketing consulting companies to, you know, just the products and the businesses, you know, the conversations I need to have with the team, you know, and leadership, and the everybody's coming from different backgrounds, and how do you speak everybody's love language? Because everybody, you have to speak differently a little bit to everybody so they can receive it the way you meant it, you know? And I think having the quality of conversations is something that was really helpful for me, meaningful conversations, and giving people the space to hear me and also hold them accountable to the things that I need to hold them accountable for. I think though the combination of the two allowed me to look at situations and opportunities differently. for people to look at me differently. Because it's also a troubling thing when you're walking around as talent for a long time. That's how they see you. You know, and
you have an identity.
I have an identity. That's what they're. So there's these kid gloves that come along with that. You know what I'm saying? That is, it's not everybody's fault. That's everybody's in a role. You have to sometimes just step back and look at the thing that we're in. You know, like we're in an industry, you know, that has generations and generations of taught behavior and practices.
Literally.
That any positive disruptor has to understand those things in order to disrupt them in a way.
Absolutely.
And evolve them, you know, and things are evolving. You see it, you know, things are evolving in a way. And if you can look at it in a higher way, I think you can find your way through that.
Yeah. Yeah, that resonates. You remind me of this beautiful statement from Mark Twain where he said that history never repeats itself, but it always rhymes. And I find like when you were talking about the industry, I was thinking about how if you don't study history
never repeats itself,
you
but it always rhymes.
have the rhyme happening in your life, but then you can't interrupt the pattern. So if you were a young star, which you were, like, I love The Wire as well. I've been a fan of the show. It's like, so you start in this industry early, and then you could spend years trying to figure out why you still have the kid gloves on.
Yeah.
Because you haven't studied that, wait a minute, that's what happens, that unless you disrupt the pattern, present yourself differently, show more of yourself, people are always going to say, he's talent, he's an actor, that's what he does. As opposed to, oh, he's a director, oh, he's an entrepreneur, oh, he's an investor, right? I know you have lots of investments, all again in the health and wellness space, like sports teams, and we're talking about Moss as well. So it's interesting how much, if you don't study the history of our industry, we get locked in the identity of the role we've played in that space forever. And it's so easy for us to get used to feeling, and often we do it to ourselves because it's comfortable playing the same role. And there's a familiar feeling of when I play this role, and I felt that in my own small way, like when I went from having to create content to get my message out there, even though I wanted to do TV or film or whatever and couldn't get a break. And so I went to content. And then I launched a podcast, and I told you about why we launched this podcast earlier. And then I wrote books, and it was like every time it was like, oh, we thought Jay was this, but oh, he's actually, and I've had to go through that. And I've realized the hardest part is you letting go of that identity.
New CBS Wednesday.
They didn't apply. They were chosen.
Welcome.
I'm a Michelin star chef.
8 came here to win.
I don't care what their experience is, I'm gonna win.
I am so
she talking shit.
ready.
America's Culinary Cup.
She said, I don't care about
CBS
that
Wednesday.
I've got to win.
That's the feeling you get when you find the perfect new Kia with our carefree buying experience and low price guarantee. Shop JimButlerKia.com today.
Jim Butler is the Kia powerhouse.
See yourself at Barnes Jewish College Goldfarb School of Nursing.
Everyone falls. How you get back up shapes what comes next.
Besides myself, the outlaw firm was the only people that are fighting for me.
I practice law to give you constant victory.
Oh, for real, bro. I just interviewed fire.
And reinventing yourself.
And allowing yourself, right? Go on,
no, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever, like, has the podcast been something you always wanted to do? And this is me just curious, or is it something that you had to you forced yourself to reinvent yourself in a way? Because this isn't it for you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know it's not. You know that this is a stop for you. This is a chapter in your book.
Sir,
Did you ever think I have to reinvent myself, or was that a product of the things that were telling you no, or the things that was challenging?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a mix of them all, but the thing that kind of like supersedes all of them, which I try and tap into, which I think you'll resonate with, because I think that's the conversation we're having, is having a connection with your intuition. Like for me, it's, I'm not looking at like, oh, what's the next trend? Or like, how do I disrupt myself? Because to me, those things are still following other patterns.
Got you.
Whereas it's intuitively going like, what